Okay, so we are here at proportions. All right, so yes, we have a fraction. That's just a number. But if you have a fraction equal to a fraction and there's equations anywhere, treat it as a proportion. This is where you cross multiply. Okay? Where like we were cross canceling with fractions before. So when I cross multiply, I'm going to multiply the 5 times the x plus 4. But I'm going to make sure that anytime you put anything with more than one term, you put it in parentheses. And then that's equal to, I'm going to do 2 times 40, which I could go ahead and put 80, but I'm just going to show you. I mean, that's basically where that stuff is coming from. Then the rest should be a piece of cake. Would you agree with that? What am I going to do with that 5? Distribute it. So 5x plus 20 equals 80. And then you can go ahead and finish it. You don't need me for that. Everybody okay with that? Proportions. You've been doing proportions forever too. We just got to make sure that we are being careful when we have these 2 decimal places. And when you cross multiply, like I could have done 2 times 40 or 40 times 2. It doesn't matter. So when we move on to one like 14, and I'm going to multiply 10 times this, I would do 10 on the outside, open my parentheses, 2x minus 8 equals, and then when I do the other way, I would not put the 5x minus 9 first, just because to me I think it would make more sense if we put the 8 first times the 5x minus 9. Because remember, we can multiply in any order. So that's all fine right there. Okay? That's how we cross multiply. You only get to cross multiply across equal signs. If you don't have 2 fractions equal to each other, there is no cross multiplying. Cross canceling, but no cross multiplying. Okay? No making up math. All right, so go ahead and finish this one up. I think you can finish this one without me. That is, if you know your multiplication facts. When you get to something like this, if you jump to -2/5, that's totally fine. I'm just going to remind you that you can do it in steps, especially if the numbers are weird. Okay? Any questions at all? We can do all this stuff, right? I'm hoping that especially at the beginning as we're doing this stuff, you're like, yes, I can do this. I just got to be reminded of a few things so that I don't make up math, and then we'll be all fine and good. All right. So now we're going to do what are called literal equations. And I believe you do these in science some as well. But we are solving for a variable, so I'm not probably not going to get like an x equals 5 type of situation. Most likely not. But we're going to figure out what we want to solve for. We're solving this circumference formula for pi. Right? We got a couple of options of how we can do this. We can do this a piece at a time, meaning that if I want to get pi by itself, I could divide both sides by 2, then I could divide both sides by r, but I can also do it all at once. If all 3 of these things are being multiplied together, then I can divide both sides by 2r, like so. Then this 2 cancels out with this one, the r with the r, and I get the circumference over 2r is equal to pi. And I'm done. Okay. So I know sometimes you don't like these because of all the variables, but at the same time, it actually makes it a little bit easier because you're not actually dividing numbers and not have to worry about that, that kind of stuff. Everybody okay with that? All right, so let's look at 16. I want to solve for p. So what do you think we might want to take care of first? the fraction. Let's get rid of the fraction. So let's start by multiplying both sides by 2. So I get 2 times a capital A equals a little a times a little p. So whether or not you capitalize letters or not does make a difference. So make sure if you're given a lowercase, you use lowercase, even if that's not how you would write it. If you were writing a sentence, it doesn't matter. We've got to be consistent here. Then what would we do next? Divide by a, because this is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I divide both sides by a little a. Big A does not cancel out little a. So I get 2 times big A over little a equals little p. Okay. Everybody good with that? All right, on 17, regardless of what we're trying to solve for, what do we want to take care of first? Fraction. Yeah, let's get C. So to get C out of the denominator, what am I going to do? Multiply. We're going to multiply both sides by C. So those cancel out. That's why I did it. So I get A plus B equals 5C. Then I want to get B by itself. So what do I need to move? A. And how do I do that legally? Subtract it. Good. So B is equal to 5C minus A. And there you go. Everybody okay with all that? Ask me a question if you got a question. Sure? Don't be afraid to ask a question. All right. I'm going to take that as we know what's going on. All right. 18. Try to solve for x. So I need to start by moving this, right? How do I do that legally? Add it to both sides, right? So I'm going to get 3x equals 24 plus 3y. Or if you want to do 3y plus 24, that's fine too. I'm just adding it at the end. It doesn't really matter. Then I need to divide by 3. So remember, sometimes, okay, I'm going to do something, then I'm going to erase it. So just hang with me for a second. Sometimes we just do this, and it's fine. But if I have more than one term and I'm hoping to actually divide it out, and I don't want to have to actually factor things out, if I divide this, I have to divide every single term by 3, and I think writing it that way is sometimes safer, okay? Because then I'm going to cancel my 3, and I'm going to get that x equals 24 divided by 3 is 8, plus 3y divided by 3 is y. Otherwise, I'm afraid some of you would just cancel the 3 with the 3y and leave the 24. And we don't want to do that. That's a rookie mistake. Okay? We good with that? Yes? All right. Then I want you to work on 19. You do 19. Let's see if we can get that one. Don't be afraid to try it. Oh, good question. All right, so you had like x equals 24 plus 3y over 3. Is that wrong? That's not wrong. It's just not reduced all the way. And I'm pretty sure what you're going to be expected to do with these questions is to have it simplified all the way. So is it the same thing? Yes. And sometimes we get to stop that way. If I needed to put it in the calculator or something, I could stop right there. But if I'm trying to completely simplify it, I got to keep going. Good question. Check yourself with each other. I'm thinking I want to get rid of the 1/2 first. Would you agree with that? So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Over here, 2 times 7 is 14w. Here, the 2 cancels out the 1/2, and I still have w plus v. Okay, so make sure when you are trying to get rid of that fraction that you don't also multiply it by whatever's inside or anything like that. Okay, then we just got to subtract w from both sides, and we get 13w equals v. Yes? Questions? All right. Then do 20. I want to make sure that you understand the difference between this and this. Here, this is all one term. So I'm not dividing this by 180 and this by 180. That's one term because it's being multiplied. This was two terms because it was addition, and that's why I needed to do that. Okay, because sometimes I see weird things like that too. We don't want to be doing that stuff. So the 180s cancel out. I get S over 180. That's equal to N minus 2. Then what do? Plus 2. So I will get S over 180 plus 2 equals N. Now, I could get a common denominator and combine those two, but I don't need to. That's fine just like that. Okay. What questions we got? Anything? All right, so here's what I want you to do on your assignment. I told you like just the front because I wanted to talk about proportions so y'all didn't do anything weird. On the back, there are 2 word problems, 13 and 14. Skip those for now because we have a whole nother sheet of stuff that we're going to do with that. And I want to talk through those because these are the ones that are fairly simple, but sometimes y'all do weird things, and a lot of you said, I need help with these things, so we're going to work on those. So just skip those for now. But if you've already started this, which some of you have, phenomenal. I will come around and check your stuff in just a minute, and then you can go ahead and finish it up. And then yeah, I'll let you know what you need to do once you are done. If you haven't even started, then start it, and then you have the class period to work on it. You can work with, you can always talk to each other. As long as it's not a quiz or a test, you're fine.